I like to think about how all of our senses can create this safe cocoon. So we'll think about sight first of all. So what are the things that you can see that you can change to make somewhere more relaxing, whether you're at home, in midwife-led units, in the delivery suite. So let's think about, first of all, lighting. We don't want strong clinical lighting, like I was talking before about the similarities between having a poo and having a baby. Just think if you were sitting on the toilet and you've got this bright light and strangers looking at you and you're trying to have a poo. Personally, that wouldn't work very well. We want to turn the lighting down so we don't feel so watched, so exposed. And so at home that's easy, you could turn off the lights, you could put some candles on. And in the delivery suite, or in the midwife-led unit, often they have Zimmer switches so you can turn the lighting down. But if not, you could turn it off and maybe have fairy lights or LED candles. Often they have lights that they can put on to look at a particular area of the body, but you can turn the general lighting down. Sometimes in the ensuite bathrooms, it's done by a motion sensor, so it's not an on-off switch on the wall. So in that case, it's quite good to have a shawl or something that you can put over your face, over your eyes, to keep the glare out. Sometimes people find themselves in the toilet at home anyway, because it feels a bit more private, maybe just with the light off, you're in a nice sitting, squatting position. So don't be surprised if that's where you end up. But try not to have your phone on with that bright light distracting you. This is really important in terms of melatonin, another hormone that helps birth. It works alongside oxytocin. So if the lights are lower, it really, really helps you switch on the parasympathetic nervous system and stay more relaxed. Also in terms of sight, it's about things that you can look at in front of you. So you might have a photo of your other children as they were newborns, or yourself as a newborn, or be holding the baby's first outfit or hat or the toy that you've bought for them, so that you know where you're headed, you know why you're going through this, because you're going to meet this baby soon, just to make it feel more real. Something else you can look at is your birth partner. So if it's the special person in your life, they can be right in front of you and you know that they're going through this with you every step of the way. And also think about what you can see on the inside, so visualizations, and we'll talk about the power of visualization later. But I will put links in the course to YouTube videos that I've created which talk about using visualization of a wave or mountains, and this can help you pace yourself through the contractions or the surges. Let's move to sound. So sounds can be really distracting. They can act as a birth brake, or they can be encouraging and act as a birth accelerator. So the really easy thing to do if you're at hospital is to shut the door. If the midwife's gone in and out to get things, feel free to take ownership of the space and close the door. Some people even take a sign saying hypnobirth in progress, just so that the people coming in take a moment to think, okay, and they might change their language, or they might tiptoe in to see what's happening. Obviously there's things like relaxation tracks, like the ones on this course, so you need to make sure that you've got a device that you can access while you're in hospital, if that's where you're going. So make sure you've got the device and the charger, because you might need it for some hours. You can also have a playlist, so that's really nice homework for the birth partner to do, is to put together a playlist in conjunction with your pregnant lady. So you might have some more upbeat music, you might have some more relaxed music, but all of these things can help release endorphins, and remember, there are natural painkillers. So if you've listened to these many times, these relaxation tracks, if you've listened to them many times through pregnancy, as soon as you hear that similar voice, that phrase comes on again that you keep remembering, it'll take you right back to feeling relaxed. So we're at that positive conditioning. I had, well, it was 2 years ago probably, I'd run a face-to-face birth preparation workshop, and I'd said how important the practice is to listen to these tracks over and over again, especially once you're on maternity leave, like every day listen to one. So I had an email from one of the ladies who'd come to a birth preparation workshop with me, and although I'd said, you know, practice is really important, you need to go over and over the tracks to have the desired effect, she emailed me on her due date and said, I'm having trouble downloading the tracks, and it's my due date today and I want to get the baby moving. And I did feel a bit dispirited by that, because you can understand all the principles, but understanding up here is not going to have had the effect that we want in the limbic system, the filing cabinet part of the brain, or on the body's response. So please, please, please practice, practice. So we talked about shutting the door, things that you can hear. Definitely have some headphones to take with you, so that if you're in hospital, you're choosing what you're listening to rather than listening to somebody down the corridor who hasn't done their yoga or their hypnobirthing. Your partner's voice can be really reassuring, just telling you, oh, you're doing really well, I'm really proud of you. And your own voice, so if you find humming or some kind of low noise, can help to lengthen the breath and slow everything down. And you might feel inhibited about doing that at the moment, but trust me, during labour you won't care. So we talked about sight and sound. Let's also talk about smell. So you've probably had the experience where you've smelt something that's taken you right back to childhood, just in an instant. So we know how powerful smell is, and this is really important in terms of hospital, because I know lots of people who don't like that clinical, that very specific smell of hospital. Maybe they've had a loved one who was very ill or died. So what you can do practically is to have a different smell to take with you. So you might have a face cloth, and you could put your favourite perfume on, aftershave, essential oils, so that as you walk into the hospital, you can smell that rather than the other smell. So it's a reassuring smell, so you don't get into that stress response. Generally, essential oils can be very helpful. The typical one is lavender, that we think of for relaxation, and you put lots on a face cloth, really put lots of drops on, and then every time you feel a contraction coming, take a big breath in, because it's actually a pain reliever. It directly affects the nervous system rather than just smelling nice. But you might also think about jasmine, can help with oxytocin release, something like geranium or neroli, just for generally uplifting, and peppermint. So if you had a lot of nausea through the pregnancy, you might think about it for if you go into labour, smelling that can just cut through the feeling of being sick. If you don't have peppermint oil and you discover that you feel very nauseous in labour, you can put a peppermint tea bag with hot water in and smell that. So yeah, trying to take a sense of home with you in terms of smell. So it might be you love the smell of fresh laundry, and so you can take the baby's baby grows that have just been washed and smell that. Really, really powerful. Next sense to think about is touch, and very often people talk about how oxytocin, the love hormone, can be released through things like cuddling, kissing, holding, hands. So very often all the things that have helped create the baby in the first place also help the baby be born. So the midwives are often very busy, that they have to take so many records, writing down everything that's happening, and they'll be turning away, just kind of keeping an eye on how things are progressing. But when they go out the room, take that opportunity to have a bit of a kiss and cuddle. It really help get the right hormones released. Also massage, so any kind of stroking can be very soothing to the body, and your midwife might be trained in aromatherapy, in which case you'll be using a sense of touch with smell with the lovely essential oils. But I'll also in a different video show you some different massage techniques that can really help. Also, let's think about water. So while you're at home, you can get in a nice warm shower or in a warm bath. So in the shower, you could lean against one wall, have the hot water on your back, or if you've got an exercise ball, birth ball, you can lean on that and move a little bit. That can feel really great. Or if you're getting the bath, you would probably want to go either on your side or sort of on all fours. It wouldn't be comfortable on the back if you're having contractions. So on all fours, I would fold a towel under your knees. So the towel will be wet, but it will be padding your knees in the bath. And then during contraction, you can come forwards and brace, and having something solid there really helps you manage the contractions. And then in between, you can rest back into the water, sit back on the feet and enjoy the warmth of the water. I wouldn't worry about a bath meaning that your contractions fade away. The most important thing is to relax. They'll come back stronger later. And then also in terms of touch, have a face cloth that you can make wet, nice and cold, because usually as the labour goes on, you can get hotter. So you can have a face cloth to the face or on the lower back, can feel really nice. And although in a hot water bottle you're not actually touching the water, you've got the feeling of warmth. So I would invest in 2 hot water bottles, and then at the beginning of labour you can have one on your back and also one on your bump, wherever you're feeling the contractions most. So you've got this lovely warmth at the beginning of the labour. Make a nest, have lots of cushions and pillows tucked around you so you feel really held, and try and conserve your energy as much as possible. So dozing if it's night time, just using a bit of breathing in a contraction and then doze off again. If it's daytime you can't sleep, maybe put comedy on or something that's distracting. So I call this bit rest and nest. The last sense to think about is taste. So have some snacks that are really easy to grab to keep your energy levels up. Often people say that they're worried about if they're eating something, it might stop them having an intervention down the line. But my take on it is that you want to give yourself the best chance of an active, natural birth. So you need to keep your energy levels up. So eat if you feel like eating. Something like dates, could be really good, give you a nice sugar rush, easy to grab. Also water. So for birth partners, put a reminder on the birth plan to remind her to drink every single hour. Have you had anything to drink? Have a drink with a straw. It's much easier to take a quick sip instead of tipping something back. It seems such a simple thing, but in labour that can make a big difference. And alongside that, reminding her to go to drink is reminding her to go to the toilet for a wee. You can imagine if the bladder gets more and more full, the baby's got to come past the bladder, and sometimes that's enough to stop the baby coming out. I've heard of birth stories where the baby just wouldn't come down, and then suddenly the midwife realised what had happened, and usually by that point the bladder's become distended if it's been left a long time, and they have to use a catheter to drain the wee out. As soon as that's happened, the baby shoots out. So it can create a physical barrier. So maybe even put a reminder in your phone on the hour. Has she drunk? Has she gone to the toilet? Really, really important. So all of these senses, in different ways, I've tried to anchor into the hypnobirthing tracks. So you'll hear talking about lavender, about a hand on your shoulder, so that it keeps taking you back to this feeling of relaxation. They're called anchors, and it keeps taking you back again to this feeling of calm. So I would create a separate bag from your hospital bag, a bag that is your bag of calm. So it has all the things that you need to make a really lovely space, whether you're at home or you've transferred into hospital. So have your fairy lights or LED candles, have a shawl that you can use for different purposes, a face cloth, a straw, headphones, have the chargers for your devices, have essential oils or some other kind of smells, have maybe pictures that you can look at to focus the mind, have your snacks to keep energized, all the things that you can think of to make a difference. And you can even take in a pillow or a cushion into the hospital. So if you use the same cushion every single time, or in the same blanket every time you do a relaxation, it's another anchor that as soon as you see it, you start to feel more relaxed. It's almost like there's a body memory. Yeah, I remember what this is like, and it becomes easier and easier to get to that birth bubble that we're trying to create. The power of visualization. When we imagine something, it stimulates the part of the brain that is activated as if we were really doing that thing. Or if we think of a particular place where we went on holiday, when we think about it, it activates the brain as if we were really there again. So this is a really powerful way of affecting your mind. There's a track called the Sensation Dial that you'll find in your relaxation section, and when you have chance, have a listen to it. It's a bit like a volume dial, and you're imagining the sensation at 10, and you, in your mind's eye, gradually turn it down. It's really, really powerful. Great hypnobirthing technique. But I wanted to say something about visualization, because sometimes people really worry. They think they're terrible at visualizing. And I think it's around a third of people say that they can't visualize. It doesn't matter. Even if you don't have a picture in your head when you think about these things and you're just using the words, it will work just as well. So please don't worry that visualization isn't going to work for you. Let's do an exercise now. And so you can actually be seeing the picture or just saying the words. I'm on a tropical island, I can see a palm tree, like that. Doesn't matter if there's no picture in front of you coming up. So have a bit of a wriggle, get comfortable, and then closing your eyes. And I want you to imagine a happy, safe place. So this might be somewhere you've actually been. It might be a room at home. It might be somewhere you went on holiday where you felt really at ease. Or it might be a completely imaginary place that you are making up in your head right now. And I want you to start by thinking about what you can see. What could you see in that place? What would be around you? Think of the shapes and the colours of the things that you could see there. And now I want you to think of the sounds. What sounds would you be able to hear in that place? Perhaps if you're outside by a beach, you could hear the waves. Maybe if you're inside, you're imagining a crackling fire. Think of a number of sounds that you'd be able to hear in that place. And now think of smells. What smell would you be able to smell in that place? And in terms of touch, what would you be lying on? What surface would you be on? What kind of clothes would you have on? Would you feel the breeze from the sea? Would you feel the warmth of the sun? Or are you inside with a lovely fluffy duvet over you? And then last of all, thinking about taste. What would you taste in your mouth? What would you have just eaten or drunk before you laid down to relax? And so with all of these senses creating this picture of this happy, safe place where you can completely relax, I want you just to feel that this is your personal oasis. You can come here anytime. It's in your mind. And I'd love you to practice this again before you fall asleep tonight. So looking around the place, the things that you can see, the sounds that you can hear there, using all of your senses to build up a picture, whether it's a visual or in words. And if you like, you can invite somebody to join you, just quietly for moral support, relaxing with you. Or you might choose to just be here by yourself in your oasis. But this is your happy, safe place, and you can come here any time. And the more you come here, in your imagination, the easier it will become to transport yourself anytime you like. So in a moment, when you feel ready, I want you to open your eyes and return. How was that? Hopefully you felt like your heart rate had slowed down, your breathing becomes slower and deeper, just feel generally more relaxed. So imagine if you go there and practice doing that. It doesn't matter where you are for the labour. Perhaps you're planning a home birth and then you get transferred. You can go to your oasis in your mind, and that will help you stay focused and be where you want to be.